Alright, so we're going to talk about crazy friends on posts. So, I've said before in previous blog posts that I don't really get into the whole drama on post thing. Like, it's just not my thing. I always say, I feel like if you stay away from drama, if you're not really dramatic yourself, you'll avoid it. Although, like in my case, there's some of those people that kind of suck you in no matter what you do to try to avoid it. So this isn't really drama. It just goes to show you how some wives can be. So, actually, there was this female. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to tell bases. And I had met her. Well, actually, I had heard about her before I moved on post. And I'm one of those people, I could hear about you all day long, but, I'm fair. I'll form my own opinion. I mean, if you're really doing things like beforehand that I'm not cool with, I'm like, okay. I won't hang with you. Most of the time, I'll form my own opinion. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just looking at the plug. It was moving by itself, but it probably is hanging on the edge. You'll probably hear it fall in a minute, and you'll probably see me jump. Anyway, so, I had heard about her, and I was like, whatever, I'll form my own opinion. And when I moved to this particular base, I was like the first person in this particular subdivision. So, somehow, even though her husband was like 25 ranks higher than mine, she happens to move over in the same area too. Whatever. It was cool because it showed that, people, no matter what rank, whatever, could be cool. We were cool the entire deployment. I'm talking about in and out my house, eating all my food, kept an eye on her kid, even though he was old enough to stay home by himself. But while she was working, her husband was deployed. I'd kind of look out for him because he was always outside and stuff like that. And it was just weird. When you meet those people that just always talk about people, and she would talk about people to me, and I'm just one of those people, I kind of sit and like listen, ha ha ha. I mean, if it's something I agree with, I will say, oh yeah, well yeah, that's true, da 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 da. And it was just so weird. It was like, I don't know how to explain the situation, because if I tell too much, people will know who this person is. People that know me, hell, she'll probably know. But let's just say that I felt like when her husband wasn't around, it was cool to be around people like me. But when her husband was around, I was as Evelyn would say on Basketball Wives, non-MFing factor, right? But the thing was, I'm talking about, we weren't just, and I'm not one of those petty people, because anybody that knows me knows I'm really a loner, okay? But you know what, let's go past all that. The real issue I had with this person was this. I'm a loner. Okay, I don't have to have a lot of friends. I don't have to constantly go out and, let's meet, let's have play groups. I don't even have any kids to have. I mean, I have kids, but they're not play group age. I don't have to do all that. I'm just not into it. I go shopping. I hate going to the commissary. It annoys me. I hate going to stores like all the time. I just can't take crowds. It makes my soul hurt. So this person, I'll never forget this, seemed to have a problem with the fact that at the time when I was living in this place, I was building my blog. They had a problem with the fact that I stayed in the house all the time. Hello, my kids are at school. I don't like this place. Why do I need to be running around the streets? Like, really? Why? And it was this huge thing, to the point where they were like telling other people, like, oh, she's just a hermit, she stays in the house. But here's the funny thing. When they seen how well I was doing with my blog, not to brag, then their whole attitude changed. But once again, because I stayed in the house, proved that blogging is a lot of work. See, in order to make this a career, I had to stay in the house. I had to sacrifice a lot of free time. And not really free time. I'm not sacrificing because I'm home, I'm on my computer. But I had to sacrifice a lot of going out. When they tried to do the same thing, they lasted 2 days. Literally. So, I just sit back and laugh. And there's so much more to this story. Because, I mean, you know what? I sat here and I was going to do this video, and I can't even really go into details, because I know that my blog is read by this person. I mean, hell, they were one of my biggest readers at the beginning. But I don't want to be dramatic. But I say all this to say, have you ever encountered a crazy friend? I mean, just a friend that they're just so concerned with how you live your life. It's not like I'm doing drugs. Or I wasn't doing anything bad. I was in my house trying to create a career that obviously has worked, because look where I am. And I don't mean that in a bitchy kind of way. I really don't. But I'm just saying, I mean, this went from a hobby to a career. I'm traveling. I'm bringing income in for my family. Why do I have to run the streets with you? Why? But there's so much more than that. But that's just my little story without going into a whole lot of detail, which I'm sorry I couldn't go into a lot because as I thought about it, I'm like, nah, it's just too specific and it would just, But anyway, have you ever encountered a crazy person that you're just like, I thought we were cool and now it's just like, I mean, I guess that could apply to everyday life, but on post, it just seems weird because I think the biggest thing was we hung out so much. I mean, we were like this. When her husband came home, because our husbands were deployed at the same time, the day I just never saw her again. And I'm not talking about like, oh, your husband's home, we have to see each other. I'm just talking about like, we're talking about like 3 months later. Like, what happened? You were in my house, like in my fridge, because I could cook. And she liked my kind of food. And I never saw her again. Like, barely. Barely. There's a lot more to it. It all blew up eventually, and everybody who was talked about found out. But have you ever been in that kind of situation? Let me know.